Welcome. Today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. It is 3 p.m. I am in virtual today, and we have three members of council in chambers. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Greater Madawaska calls to order the March 20th, 2025 regular council meeting at 3 p.m.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, and second by Councillor Tripp. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Please stand for O Canada. Thank you. Please be seated. As we gather in chambers, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continuous displays of friendship. We'd also like to thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Thank you, Miigwech. It's like 4.1, approval agenda. Resolution, please.
That the agenda of the council meeting of March 20th, 2025 be approved as amended with the addition of 11.1, enter into closed session, 12.1, move to open, and 13.1, move to rise and report.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Section 5.1, approval of minutes. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following minutes are approved by council. February 20th, 2025 regular council and March 13th, 2025 public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Section 5.2, resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following minutes are accepted by council. January 14th, 2025, Recreation and Culture Committee. January 22nd, 2024, Canada Day Committee. That should be 2025. Canada Day Committee.
Thank you. Mover, please. Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? There is none seen. Thank you. The mayor's report today is not going to take place as I am virtual and I actually forgot my mayor's report at home, so I apologize. I will make up for it at our next meeting. Section 8.1, Public Works tender, please. Resolution?
That council award tender PW01 2025 Granular M Group Number 1 Calabogie area to Miller Aggregates, a division of Miller Paving Limited for $61,361.28, including net HSD, and that council not award group number 2, number 3, and number 4 as the tenders significantly exceed the budget, and that council directs staff to reissue a tender for group number 2, number 3, and number 4.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please, Steve.
So as council approved the 2025 operating and capital budget, this includes the loose top maintenance for gravel roads, plus the gravel for the reconstruction of 6.8 kilometers of Madawaska Road and 1.1 of Church Street as well. So like Renee said, it's just the Calabogie area will be awarded today, and due to the higher costs, I think we should go back out to tender for groups 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you, Steve, and I know I'm going to be hearing from you on the next one. 8.2, resolution, please.
That council award tender PW02 2025 HL4 hot mix asphalt for 3 section of Madawaska Road to Bonashare Excavating Inc. for $806,613.86, including net HST.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Second, Councillor Beck, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, Steve.
So council also approved the proceeding with the reconstruction of the 3 sections of Madawaska Road as part of the 2025 capital budget. So we issued the tenders late January, closed February 27th. With the tenders being open, we have chosen Bonashire Valley Excavating as the company to do the paving for the 3 sections.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council? Councillor Lebec?
Just a quick one, Steve. So as the dollar amount's a little bit higher, not much, just curious why that one was selected versus the lower one.
They did a very well job last year on the other section as well. No issues at all. And I think it's the best move to stick with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So your experience with them and the great work is the difference, and it's not, as Councillor Levesque said, it's not much of a dollar value. So thank you for that. All in favor? That is unanimous. So carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 8.3 tender resolution, please.
The council award tendered PW03 2025 for cable guide rail supply and installation on Madawaska Road to 535276 Ontario Inc. for $182,000, $160.57, including net HST.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Tripp. Background, please, Steve.
So same, this is for Madawaska Road as well, the 6.8 kilometers altogether. We issued the tender in late January as well and opened it the same day, 27th of February. And the tender price actually came back very well. It was actually a little under budget than what I had budgeted for, so I was surprised with that too.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council? Steve, this Ontario Limited Company, where are they based out of?
Kingston.
Kingston, okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns for discussion items from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to 8.4 resolution, please.
That council award tender PW06 2025 double surface 1.1 kilometer of Church Street and 1 kilometer Bluff Point to Greenwood Pavement Ltd. for $128,352.94, including net HST.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, Steve.
This is for the capital works as well for the reconstruction of Church Street in Griffith, and we're overlaying Bluff Point this year. So they're just going to patch up the holes and put another layer over Bluff Point to prolong the life of it. And the prices came in pretty well, exactly what we had budgeted for, so that turned out well too.
Thank you. Any questions from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. We'll now move on to 8.5 resolution, please.
That council approves bylaw 19/2025 being a bylaw to acquire and assume land for a public highway.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please, Steve.
So when we did Hudson Lake back in 2023, the township finalized the construction of Hudson Lake Road, which now includes a large turnaround. There was no turnaround before there. It was very difficult to try and turn the plow trucks around, and there's 3 entrances going off the same road as well. So we engaged with the property owner, and it was very hard area to dig in. So we made the agreement that we would actually build the cul-de-sac first, and then we could survey it after the fact, just so we knew if we got the right chunk of property. So this is just finishing up from that. It's the sale agreement. So the township will need to purchase this land for $1,000 additionally and pay for the surveying and stuff like that as well.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, or discussion items from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to information item 8.6, bioresin for township roads. Steve, I believe this is you still.
Yep. So I was directed to look into this bioresin a while back. I think it was November sometime. And the more I read, so the bioresin is a suitable road technology made by agricultural and forest products. It is suitable for low volume gravel roads and is currently being tested by a municipality in Southern Ontario. Its trial is a 3-kilometer section with an investment of $200,000. Where the old asphalt is pulverized, the bioresin is added to the granulars and mixture and compacted to the road grade. Then they actually pave over it as well. As this trial is still in its early stages, additional data on the material service life performance under varying weather conditions is needed before considering its use. Preliminary estimates suggest that the potential 5-year lifespan increase through this unverified. The township should monitor similar trails such as the Center of Wellington's pilot project to assess the long-term impacts to bioresin. May result in higher upfront costs, but gathering data on its longevity of maintenance and hidden costs. The other municipalities will help determine if other long-term savings or cost-effective mitigation potential financial risk. As bioresin is still emerging in some areas, its availability and supply chain may not be fully established. Underserving the pilot will allow townships to assess scalability and supply stability and any challenges related to the constant material availability. If bioresin proves effective, it may be incorporated into future infrastructure projects. I just think at this time it's a little too new to be trying this out on some roads that we're trying to catch up now.
Thank you. Questions, comments, concerns from council? Councillor Tripp.
So the current studies or test pots are in lower Ontario area, Southern Ontario. Anything up in our area where we have the winter swings?
So they did one little trial on a gravel section of road down, it's like, I want to say like Winchester area, that area. And they just done that as well this last year. So like, it's still fairly early to see if it's, it's going to hold up or.
Thanks. I just think we should try to look at areas, if we're going to be doing some research over the coming years, areas that have the same winter road conditions that we have in the swings.
Yeah.
Between London's a different area from where we are, Wellington as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns from council? There are none seen. Thank you, Steve, for doing the research on that, and look forward to hearing a follow-up probably in a year, in a year or more, once they have their testing done. Thank you. We'll now move on to 9.1, bylaw 20-2025, site plan control resolution, please.
That council approve bylaw 2025, wow, to implement a new site plan control bylaw for the township, and that council repeal bylaw 33, 2005, bylaw 43, 2006, and bylaw 49, 2022.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, Tracy.
Thank you. So site plan control is a tool we use to manage site development, mostly for commercial and industrial sites. The Planning Act sets out some uses that can be subject to site plan control and some that cannot. The biggest one in recent years is the Planning Act restricts the use of site plan control for residential development that's less than 10 units. So otherwise, we're primarily using it for a commercial and industrial development. The bylaws that are listed here to be repealed are the old site plan control policy, so it's been close to 20 years since we've last looked at this policy. There's been a lot of changes, of course, with planning acts and official plans and provincial planning statements. So what you have is a draft new site plan control policy for the township, which I think fairly clearly sets out what is and is not subject to site plan control approval. Staff and I have also updated the application form. So subject to approving this, we'll implement a new application form and a procedural guide for residents to use. So happy to answer questions on the policy if you have any.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen. Thank you for that, Tracy. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We will now move on to resolution or to 9.2 bylaw 23-2025 zoning amendment. Resolution, please.
The council approved bylaw 23-2025 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 28-2024 as amended to rezone part of the lands located in part lot 25 concession 2 in the geographic township of Bagat from rural and environmental protection to limited service residential and environmental protection to reflect the zoning of the lands being added to.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, Tracy.
Thank you. So we had the public meeting for this zoning amendment last week. This is a zoning amendment that satisfies a condition of consent for a lot addition. The zoning amendment puts the lot addition lands in the same zone as the lands that are being enlarged. So once the consent is finalized, the enlarged lot will all be in the same zone. So the bylaw you have is simply to implement that zoning change. The public meeting last week, there was no public or agency comment at all, and no objections were raised to that.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concern from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That's unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Now we'll move on to 9.3 bylaw 24. Sorry, was that? Oh, I thought somebody said something. Sorry. 9.3 bylaw 24-2025 zoning bylaw housekeeping amendment. Resolution, please.
The council approved bylaw 24-2025 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 28-2024 as amended to implement various housekeeping amendments to the township's zoning bylaw.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please.
Thank you. So council has seen the details of this bylaw several times as staff have brought forward a couple of reports. The statutory public meeting for this was also held last week and there were no public or agency comments received. And so this is the bylaw to implement the housekeeping amendments to our zoning bylaw.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concern from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We will now move on to 9.4 business showcase event. Information, please. I believe this is Jenna.
Thank you. As the Township of Greater Madawaska continues to seek ways to boost tourism, promote the area, and support local businesses, a special business showcase event has been scheduled for June 21st, 2025, in order to advance these efforts. The aim of this event is to bring together the community and surrounding areas to highlight the exciting businesses and experience that our township has to offer. Invitations have been sent directly to all local businesses, and we will be sharing the promotions across online platforms. Tables will be available to any businesses in Greater Madawaska interested in participating. This event is scheduled to take place at the Calibogie Community Hall from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on June 21st, with both indoor and outdoor spaces available for vendors. This setup accommodates businesses that may need space for larger equipment, supplies, or ATVs. The goal for the showcase is to go beyond just showcasing our local businesses and provide an opportunity for networking, building new connections, and fostering potential partnerships across the township. This event will include food vendors, live music, and a variety of activities, and it aims to not only spotlight our incredible businesses, but also to bring the community together to support and promote the township. As of this report, we have 11 Greater Madawaska businesses confirmed to participate, with many more expressing interest. We have 3 breweries on site offering their products and merchandise, 2 food trucks, live music, and the participation from the Greater Madawaska Fire Department, as well as many other fun activities.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen on this information item. Then, Jenna, thank you very much for that. Looking forward to this great event. We will now move on to 10.1, bylaw 21-2025, tangible capital asset policy. Resolution, please.
That council approve bylaw 21, 2025, being a bylaw to establish a tangible capital asset policy, and that council hereby repeal policy 402, tangible capital assets, dated October 1st, 2014.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please. I believe this is Jennifer.
Good afternoon. So a tangible capital asset policy for a municipal government ensures proper accounting and reporting of tangible assets like buildings, infrastructures, and equipment by establishing guidelines for the recognition, valuation, amortization, and disposal. So they are all in compliance with the Public Sector Accounting Board standards. The township's TCA policy has not been reviewed since 2014. The updated policy largely maintains its original structure, however, includes key clarifications and improvements, such as a more detailed breakdown of assets into individual components as reflected in Schedule A of the policy. This new structure reflects more accurate information and allows for improved asset management and long-term planning.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concern from council? Mine is not so much a question, and I understand that tangible capital asset policy must meet the accounting standards. And I'm going to pose this question to our CAL, Renee. Our staff has the training, the expertise, and the experience that it's a tangible asset to us, but I know it would not fall under this area because it really wouldn't be captured about their expertise, their training, and experience. But it's a valuable asset that we have is our staff and their knowledge. And I'm just wondering, where would we be able to capture that to show what we have, the value we have in our staff?
So staff are considered intangible assets versus tangible. Intangible assets are more captured into like a people's policy or that type of thing. Right now we have on our goals for 2025 to develop like an HR policy around staffing, like a staffing plan, and that's where you would recognize those types of items.
Thank you. As long as we're capturing it somewhere, because the staff we have with their expertise, their training is fabulous, and I just want to make sure that we capture everything that we have, because we have fabulous staff, and we just need to make sure that we account for it. So thank you for that information. Is there anything else to add from council? There is none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous. So carried. Thank you. We will now move on to 10.2, bylaw 22-2025, being a bylaw to establish reserve and reserve fund policy. Resolution, please.
The council approved bylaw 22, 2025, being a bylaw to establish a reserve and reserve fund policy, and that council hereby repeal policy number 408, reserve and reserve fund policy.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please, Jen.
So the primary purpose of the reserve and reserve funds policy is to ensure the ongoing financial stability of the township by setting aside funds for the long-term goals of the municipality, ensuring that those funds will be available when they're needed. The updated reserve and reserve fund policy largely retains the core principles of the existing policy that we had, but includes enhanced clarification and addition of some new reserves that follow the township's evolving needs. Staff have revised the policy to ensure that consistent principles, standards, and guidelines for the maintenance, management, and accounting for reserve and reserve funds are followed more effectively. Adjustments to the policy were as follows. So when the municipality retires debt and does not need to incur new debt, it should be allocated to the cost of the annual debt servicing principal and interest to a capital reserve fund. This allocation will serve several purposes. It will allow funding for future debenture payments. If the municipality expects to issue a debenture in the future, the reserve can be used to ensure sufficient funds are available to cover these future debt payments and covering future capital expenditures. Alternately, the reserve can be used to finance upcoming capital projects that do not require new debt issuance, such as infrastructure upgrades or equipment purchases. And then revisions under Schedule A were the addition of the Health Services Reserve, which you saw in your 2025 budget, to finance health and well-being projects as approved by Council, and the merging of some existing reserves and the removal of the operating and capital carry forward. Because if there's any funds remain unspent at the end of a fiscal year, those will be returned to the original source, and then they will be reallocated and included in the budget for the appropriate fiscal term as needed.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. More of a comment than a question. I just want to congratulate staff for bringing this forward. I think it's commendable that we're looking at an adjustment into our reserve fund. These are funds that are going to be, I think, laying the foundation for future councils. We came into this council with a certain set of financial parameters, but this is going to help 5, 10, 15 years down the road if we increase that base to our reserve fund. And they are things that are going to be needed as we go into an uncertain time. So it's nice to start planning kind of past our term and laying down a bit of a legacy from this council towards future councils. So thank you for this. It's a great idea.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? None, and I'd just like to echo what Councillor Tripp said. I'd like to thank you, and I think it is great that we're thinking not just for the present, but for the future of our community. So thank you for that. In saying that, all in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you very much. We will now move on to 10.3, 2024 Statement of Remuneration and Expenses. Resolution, please.
That council approves the 2024 Statement of Remuneration Expenses paid to members of council and members of local boards and other bodies pursuant to Section 284 of the Municipal Act 2001.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please.
So the Municipal Act, Section 284, Section 1 requires that the treasurer shall, in each year on or before March 31st, provide to council of the municipality a statement on remuneration and reimbursements paid in the previous year to each member of council in respect to his or her services as a member of council or any other body, including a local board. Each member of council in respect to his or her services as an officer or employee of the municipality or other body described in Clause A, and each person other than a member of council appointed by the municipality to serve a member of any body, including local board, in respect to his or services of member of the body. In compliance with the legislation attached to your report today is the Statement of Remuneration and Expenses for 2024, which includes remuneration and expenses incurred by members of council. As there's no external members of the Committee of Adjustment for 2024, this amount is nil.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We will now move on to 10.4, Asset Management Levels of Service. Resolution, please.
The council directs staff to proceed with the proposed level of service and maintain current levels and contribution percentage to asset replacement of 3.2% as outlined and recommended in this report.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please. Jen?
So in 2018, Ontario Regulation 588-17, Asset Management Planning for Municipal Infrastructure Ontario was adopted, and this regulation requires that all municipalities in Ontario to advance their asset management programs by complying with the development and implementation of a policy and plans by specified deadlines. So by July 1st, 2025, the township is required to develop an AMP with proposed levels of service and life cycle management and financial strategy. In preparation of the deadline, the township recently launched an asset management levels of service survey aimed at gathering community feedback on the levels of service residents expect from the infrastructure we currently operate, maintain, repair, and replace. The goal of the survey was to assess whether residents were satisfied with the current levels, to understand their priorities for these services, and to determine if they would prefer to decrease, maintain, or increase levels of service. The survey received 149 responses. The majority of the survey respondents indicated that they are advocating that the road streets require the most improvement, however, would like to maintain current levels of service with a focus on improving infrastructure planning and replacement, as well as improving transparency to residents. In addition, respondents were also open to a 3.2% annual increase to shorten capital funding gap from 20 years to 10 years, addressing both current needs and future demands. The current asset management plan presently accounts for a 1.6% annual increase to fund asset replacement over a 20-year cycle. The 2022 asset management plan identified the township's annual requirement. I know we've talked about this before, of a $2.2 million to maintain current levels of service, and to close that gap, there's a $1.5 million gap. It is not feasible to recommend increasing levels of service at this time when we are financially not ready to maintain current levels of service. So our next steps, as per the AMP 2025 AMP requirements, the township must indicate the proposed levels of service, life cycle management, and financial strategy. So staff recommends maintaining the current levels of service while increasing the annual contribution to 3.2%. This increase will allow for asset replacement over a more realistic timeframe, helping to strengthen our reserves and ensuring a manageable debt ratio. This approach will also allow the township to increase financial sustainability and prepare for the next step of improving levels of service. Additionally, staff will be looking at reviewing the capital long-range forecast to ensure that most essential projects, infrastructure repairs, safety upgrades are addressed first, which may result in delaying non-essential projects. Finally, staff will work on the long-term financial strategy, evaluating financial projections to determine the timeline needed to build the necessary reserves and make the adjustments as necessary based on debt ratio levels. Once this analysis has been complete, staff will bring forward a report to council with a recommended updated AMP strategy.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council? Councillor Levesque.
Thanks, Jen. In looking at the report and everything else, we've talked in background about a possibility of what do we do in the future as like setting the standards for the number of residents on a particular road, for instance. So as an example, a dirt road that's 5 kilometers long with 3 residents in 2002, now it has 50 residents in 2025. How do we account for that in our asset management plan? Because we talked about replace, repair, and so on, but not to construct. So in other words, upgrading from one type of road to another. And I'm curious if that will fall into that policy aspect of things in the future. So I'll just rephrase. So how long does a dirt road stay a dirt road before it's paved? I'll just simplify that.
Well, right now, the majority of residents are saying that they want to maintain levels of service, that we gave them the opportunity to say, would you like to decrease? Would you like to go from a paved road to a gravel road? Would you like to go from a gravel road? And the majority are saying that they want to maintain. So yes, I guess it would come down to how much the population has increased in that area in order to increase that service, but that would part of be growth, and that would be planned for every year. The plan is going to be reviewed. There's an annual requirement to review. And as we build our reserves and as we get through this initial project, we will be looking at, and we will be looking at improving levels of service, but it's just not today. It's in a 5-year time span sort of thing.
And I wanted to add to that, we're looking at different measurements. There's the amount of houses there. The implication would be if that gravel road, we're having to add more gravel because there's more vehicles, then you may consider it. We also are looking at a different portal that could measure the usage of the road. So just like through geofencing. This way we're able to add it to our asset management plan and use that as determining how much traffic is coming through. So we're looking at other strategies to be able to assess roads and see where can we assess them properly. When it comes to, we were just talking about it actually today, when it comes to gravel roads, where they're currently covered under operating, they're not considered in the asset management plan, and we'll be looking to put more into the asset management plan referring to a gravel road. This will allow us to really track the expenses related to that road and life cycle, and where we're saying, okay, well, when you hit this threshold, we should be considering the costs would benefit from chip and tar. Yes. We're not there yet. With that said, at the road supervisor's assessments, he would also come in and recommend. So if we were hitting where we're incurring so many costs, we've had that even with chip and tar, where we're saying, okay, well, it can't be chip and tar anymore because we need to upgrade that road. So there's that. Without having that, you have this piece where if our staff are constantly on the road having to put work into it, then the benefit is to upgrade it, so we don't need to be doing that.
Thank you.
There is like, one thing with gravel roads too is the township doesn't own all of the full road allowance on a lot of these gravel roads. So it starts to become a problem when, you know, we only own the wheel tracks of the road. We can't put a ditch in, you can't, and, you know, and there's even some gravel roads that would take such an extensive amount of work that it's a lot cheaper for the municipality to just go back out and grade that road again, you know, instead of trying to put pavement on it that's going to bust up in no time and you'll be patching and it turns into more work. So like there's a lot of variables to roads to this road, you know, so.
Thank you. And I guess that's just what I'm looking for is, you know, when we look at the criteria for when roads become different types, and it's not just gravel roads either, it could be going the other way from chip and tar to pavement or vice versa even, because we could discover that the pavement is just too expensive for what you're supplying. It could go the other way. So the next repair becomes chip and tar versus pavement. So this is all your expertise. I guess, you know, these are some of the questions, regardless of the survey, that I get. I don't know about anybody else, but I get a lot of those questions is, when is my road, like, this is like one of the busiest roads in the township, when is our road going to be upgraded? So, and these are some of the questions that people ask me. So it's good for us to have that criteria available and like, as it says here, transparent, so that people can really understand, is it ever going to be on the plan, or is it not now, but maybe later? And how does that, and we have an asset management plan, so that's really good, that's published. Yeah. The question is, what's the criteria that goes in behind that? And that's where people may ask the question is, you know, there's your expertise, Steve, there's going to be the traffic studies, the geofencing, whatever else that goes into those decisions, and obviously a significant budget impact that you're talking about. So all those things get folded into whether it stays as it is or it gets changed.
And the thing is that as we're building, like, and it's sadly in municipal world, asset management's new. And this is why you're hitting these targets that seem to be in the private sector forever. We're still assessing on where we are. You know, I mean, in the private sector, you wouldn't be sitting here saying I have a deficit of 1.5 million a year either. So we're needing to assess that before we even consider any changes to any assets. So there would be no benefit in developing a policy at this point, but there's a benefit as we develop this. When we talk about moving from the 20-year, which is a very long time, and you may never hit that target because prices increase, demand increases. So bringing this target down allows the township to be able to say, in 5 years, you're looking at another 5 years. You could really be saying, now we're in a different position financially and we're able to move forward with some of these things. This geofencing piece, we've looked at it a bit. I sat in on a little session where they showed us Calabogie just to show what it looks like. It showed how many vehicles were crossing our roads on a daily. You know, Calabogie Road looked like there was 2,000 a day, where somewhere like Berryville, 70 vehicles. So these numbers, along with everything else on costs to work on these roads, is really going to determine which road needs to be worked on. And then it's no more of this, a resident says so. And I really encourage, if you're receiving concerns about the road, have the resident log it into the software, because we don't have any complaints requesting for upgrade of roads. And without that, you don't have the analysis behind it in the, so.
I think it's important, just following up on what Councillor Beck said, we do get phone calls, and I like what you're suggesting, Renee, in terms of the scientific approach. It's about managing expectations. And I've noticed over the last 5 years in the community, there's been this expectation to having everything paved. And that's not realistic unless they want to have a tax levy to cover the cost of that. So I think being able to have data that explains the use of the road, put it into a 5-year plan, but all of these tools will give us a communication strategy forward to help manage expectations of people's needs. And the calls I'm getting are usually from people who've moved up and are wondering why they're driving on a gravel road when it's not their norm. It's not all of them, but the few calls I get, that's the source of it. And it is about managing expectation in terms of what resources we have and the allocation that we put them through. But the plan is good to be able to say in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or as Councillor Levesque said, it's not going to happen, it's not realistic, but be able to say that to them and manage that expectation. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We'll now move on to 10.5, draft update noise bylaw. Resolution, please.
The council received the draft updated noise bylaw and provide comments and feedback.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please, Renee.
So we have a bylaw for noise, bylaw 14, 2016. This bylaw was developed around the time the track was put into play, and it was intentional for construction noise and the motorsport park. When we went through the process with short-term accommodation licensing through public consultation, there was a lot of comments around the fact that we don't have a bylaw that speaks to these types of almost like nuisance noise of every day. So we had determined that through the process and through the licensing that we would require this type of update to our noise bylaw. So what you have here is a draft update. We're not looking to pass a resolution to pass the bylaw. We're looking for comments today between now and the next meeting to be able to consider into some adjustments to the policy, and then staff would be bringing the policy back or the bylaw back to council for consideration. I've noted through the sections, the schedules for general noise prohibitions, and then the noise ones. These are the new items really added to this policy. And I do want to note the current policy has construction noise starting at 6 a.m., which is, in reviewing, was a bit abnormal. Normally, it's more like a 7 a.m. Otherwise, we seemed pretty consistent. And then obviously, there was the general noise. So this has been added to the policy. But we're looking for at this point is some feedback on the draft. And then we would, and then again, council could submit comments later if you'd like. And then we would be bringing those comments back to council at the next council meeting.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items from council at this time? Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. Just input that we've received from one of the constituents for Councillor Lois. and she had sent me an email. She's traveling right now and unable to be here tonight. The report that she received was very positive. There were some minor suggestions that she wanted to put forward, her constituent wanted to put forward into the draft bylaw. They've been sent into staff so that they're there as you start your deliberations. But the key ones were around definitions for power devices, animal noise, and also noise, adding a little bit of stronger language, adverse effect is one suggestion, which is kind of micro into the document. And then she had also referenced the point of starting, moving the 6 a.m. to the 7 a.m. So all positive comments, very minor suggestions, but ones that we've received. So it's being read and the comments are coming in. So I wanted to pass that along. And as I said, this has been submitted to staff for their consideration when they go back to do their work on the document before bringing it back to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Just one question, Renee. When would be the deadline that you would be receiving comments from ourselves that you would need before next meeting?
Let me take back. The comments would have to be in by April 4th.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns from council at this time? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We will now move on to 10.6, draft communication policy. Resolution, please.
That council receives a draft communication policy as information and provide comments and feedback to staff.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please, Renee.
So currently the township does not have a communications policy. Through the 2023 to 2026 strategic plan, there is a goal there for open communication and engagement. The 2025 strategies include exploring this again and looking at a communication strategy. In reviewing, currently we have, a partially drafted communication plan that was adopted in 2022. This now we're kind of trying to take a step back and really go into a communication policy, which will define overarching principles and guidelines. And then provide the high-level framework. From there, we then would be exploring communication plan opportunities, which would be more detailed strategies, like the way we communicate, maybe we have metrics in there to actually measure what we're trying to achieve. But we thought it was critical to have a communication policy just for internal communication, who communicates, and just having key messages aligning with the council's decision and operations and those components. What you see in this communication policy are really aligning with what, to some extent, the township already follows, but it provides clarity on roles and responsibility across, and for each council member, staff, and then the public understanding why we are messaging the way we are. So again, same process as the last policy. I'd be looking for comments today and comments leading up to the April 4th deadline to consider. And then obviously, if we needed more time following that, I'd bring it back to council with those comments and we could keep deliberating as we go through.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concern from council? Okay. Not seeing it. Oh, Councillor Levesque.
Sorry, just a quick one. You're probably going to ask the same question, Rob, about when would you like this back?
This one will be the same as the other one. It would be looking to at least provide comments to council at the next council meeting. If it could go back for deliberations after that, that'd be fine, but it would be April 4th.
And I know I convert my PDFs to Word, but it might be helpful if you send out the Word version.
So I can send out the Word version, and then just make sure we do track changes, and then you could provide your comments that way. Yep.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from council at this time? Renee, I have just a suggestion I'd like to add for your consideration. One of the things I'd like to see the possibility of in regards to the communication and transparency, I'd like us to take a look at doing every 2 months in the different wards a public meeting or educational meeting so that we could hear from our residents directly. So if, let's say, if it's in Ward 1, our Ward 1 would be myself and the 2 other councillors. In Ward 3, it would be myself and the 1 councillor. And in Ward 2, myself and the 1 councillor. If we could, so we'd start at one of the wards, then move to the next 2 months later, and then move to the next 2 months later. I think that would be a good opportunity for the councillors for that ward and myself to hear what the residents are asking or what clarifications they need, so we can get back to them. And I think that might go a long way to engaging with them further. So I'm just going to put that out to you for a thought and allow you to analyze it and get back to me on that. Thank you. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. So in line with that, we also have an opportunity, I think, in the next annual or year cycle. Midpoint next year, we're going to have our strat plan coming up for review. And I think that's another important venue. Rather than a meet and greet or a muffin, an opportunity to talk, if we bring people together around a specific milestone and look at our strat plan and have a conversation in the wards with all of each ward individually, or bringing them into one like we did for the initial strat plan, but as a signal check to where we are. That would also give a strat plan that's been somewhat updated, so the next council coming in the year following will land at this table with a strat plan that's been recently reviewed. I think it's an important tool, and it's an important way for us to get out on a tangible topic into engaging with our individuals. Plus, we're also going to have public consultations coming up. And in light of what the mayor is suggesting, maybe those public consultations we take into the community as well, so it's really focus driven. It's just it's same concept, just a different spin where we're actually taking a tangible out to them for discussion. Well, thank you. Just for your consideration as well, Renee.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? Councillor Lebec, I don't know whether you just, okay, it is up. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to follow up on that, I think maybe for this policy or plan rather, is to define scheduled events versus ad hoc events, and define what they are and how they're going to, like, so is something going to be a quarterly event, or is it going to be a regular event, or is it going to be, you know, and what do those things look like? And it could, you know, exercise some more definition in what you're trying to do here, but we don't want to create a 95-page document either, right? So I think it's important that we all know what's included and what and when we're going to do what we need to do. But I think, Rob, your point is taken, because I know Rob and I have discussed a couple of times, a few times actually, and it's come up in surveys, is, you know, people want to hear what's going on. They want to talk. They want to get things out on the table. They don't want to come to a meeting and go through the formalization. They'd rather just be there and for us to tell them what's going on and for them to ask questions and so on. So those are different types of meetings, and sometimes when we go out for specific things, there's often not time to do those other things. So one's formal, one's informal.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns from council? None. Thank you, Renee. We'll leave you with those thoughts and you can get back to us on it. And as you say, April 4th is the deadline that you would need some comments, but we're still open to be communicating back and forth on this. So at this time, I'll ask all in favor. That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We will now move on to section 11.1, enter into closed. Resolution, please.
That the council meeting of March 20th, 2025 enter into closed session at 3:54 p.m. pursuant to section 2932 of the Municipal Act regarding 1, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, a vacant land community use.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Tripp. All in favor to go into closed? That is unanimous. We'll be entering into close, and when we come back, you'll be able to view us again. Thank you. Thank you. We're now, I'd like to move to 12.1, move to open. Resolution, please.
20th, 2025, move back into open session at 4:12 PM.
I'll move that. Okay, all in favor? Perfect, everybody's in agreement.
That council reports the following as a result of the closed meeting item. 1, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, A, vacant land community use. 1, received as information.
Do we have a mover on that? Councillor Tripp, Councillor Levesque. All in favor? That's unanimous.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw, 25, 2025 confirmatory be deemed read at first, second, and final time and passed by council at the regular council meeting held March 20th, 2025.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, Councillor Tripp. All in favor? Unanimous.
That the regular council meeting of March 20th, 2025 be adjourned at 4:13 PM.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, Councillor Levesque. All in favor? Perfect.